Hello, everyone, those interested, concerned, truth seekers. Like me, I've been a truth seeker, wanting to know what is the truth, universal truth, also personal truths, and trying to find God, in search of God. So I wanted to buy Richard Dawkins' God the Delusion book. I think the title is God the Delusion, but I couldn't. It was really expensive for me in Karachi too. It was around 9,000 rupees or something. But I wanted to know what are his arguments. I had kind of opened his book in the bookshop and skimmed through a bit in the beginning chapter and all. So I feel that, this is my favorite topic, the existence, the proof of the existence of God. And if I make any mistakes, I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. Sometimes I'm slow. I make these slips and repetition at times. But we have to go slow in this, as it's been a slow searching of truth and about God too, and the truth. Like in my Shia books, we have imams, hadiths, traditions explaining what God means and who God is in Al-Kafi, explaining the Quran verses too about God's existence. But for me, I had understood a little bit intellectually, but not like fully realizing it. And we have to go through obligatory prayers and all that. There's a method in reaching nearness with God in our Islam. And so I'm a Shia Muslim. I was born, but a searcher still. There were certain things not clear to me about my religion, and I had faith that this was the complete religion of mine. In the Abrahamic religion, because we have the Psalms of David given to us by Imam Zain al-Abidin, title Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. We call him Al-Sajjad, the one who adored God and through prostrations worshipping God. So that Sajjad comes from Sajud, which means a lot of prostration. So the thing is that I think I have something quite valid to give out, and I'd be so honored if I could help someone, with this in the search for the proof of God and the proof of His existence. And I've been live on Facebook about this, mostly on audio broadcast. But then last time I went live and through the, not the audio but the video. So the thing is that I was discovering, and I didn't know that I would come to this. I stumbled on things. I'm not a great talker. I'm slow, and but I have to do this because I know that this could help many people out there searching for God. And then, of course, they can do their meditation, spiritual practices, and whatever religion they come from. They can practice their own religion. But you know what I mean is that those who are like me, who have been born in a religion, but still searching for the truth, when some crisis got to them or some trauma in their life. And I also apologize, my health is not well. I have allergy, and so I'll be slow because of my physical health too. Like I've had a headache today, and there's nothing else I can do. So I want to, but I can do this. It's very convenient for me. However, the truth searching has not been convenient in the least bit. I mean, it's been very hard through the tests of life, crisis, and trauma that I've had. Yes, and I've also posted that, the true Shia Islam, and how the Umayyads have distorted the Islam that we now have, and through some of the Sahabas. So I've explained all that when I think of it, that conflict in man didn't take place due to religion coming. Wars didn't come because of those truly religious people who have known God, who have been in taqwa. Taqwa, I've looked up the dictionary meaning of it. It means God consciousness or God realized. So that is what I call a truly religious person. Although you may say that, contradict me and say, or this thing me and say that it's a spiritual, but I felt that my religion was so complete, it covered everything, and that spirituality was a part of my religion. Okay, so I may be wrong here, but I felt that spirituality was part of my religion, which means that my religion was beyond a lot more. I mean, there's nothing beyond spirituality. God, if you have the search for God, then of course you have to go into the unseen knowledge, through the unseen ways to find out, right? Or after reasoning and everything, then there's this higher, we call it truth, which is to realize God, which then it becomes into spiritual realization of God. So I felt that my religion completed the practical side of God, not only the spiritual part of religion, the practical part of religion. That is to live life here in, as we are interdependent. So socially, work, marriage, and business, trading, work. Yes, I said work, I think, sorry. And also to know things like scientifically, astronomy, and you can see that scientists don't believe in God because they fail to prove that God exists. So many do believe, if there are some scientists who believe, but they cannot prove the existence of God, so then they believe in they have a faith, a blind faith, or through reasoning powers. So if we are highly intelligent human beings, then we would know, like the Quran gives a very high status to the believers. So why is that? Those believers who have realized God and know that God exists without the scientific method, way, or other ways, philosophical ways of knowing God and proving His existence. And yes, so you can look at hear my original speech where I've tried to discover and explain why science cannot prove God's existence, but yet how our line of questioning and our Shia Muslim and Islam Muslims line of questioning is to know how to know God, to have the proof that He exists. Then I've used that ayat where I brought that out because I thought, well, if God is just, as we say, we believe, Shia Muslims have this extra belief which we kind of have this thing, we accept it and we acknowledge it, that God is just. So that reality, that true reality, has to be put in us, right? Because He did take a covenant from us, and we testified that yes, you are our God. And so we take the verse from the Quran, am I not your Lord? And this I was trying to find out, Lord. So I was trying to analyze this, reflect into this verse. As we are told in the Quran, reflect in yourselves. And I was thinking, how shall I reflect in myself? So the reflection is like, okay, so reflect has to have something to reflect upon, a form. So here is the definition, like there's one that says the throwing back by a body or surface of light, heat or sound without absorbing it. Okay, so serious thought or consideration, serious thought. So thought, meditation, and contemplation. Consider. So we have to have a serious thought. Now if we take the other definition of reflection, that would be that there has to be a certain thing to reflect on, to meditate on, to contemplate on. So we take the verses of the Quran and we reflect on those verses inside. It says in the Quran, reflect in yourselves. So I have to go step by step so that we get this properly. Okay, so on this Quran verse, reflect in yourselves about this, the truth and everything, the signs of God written, given to us in the Quran. I will discuss later because when light reflects on a certain object and there's a certain object that it reflects on through the eyesight. How do you say it? So then we can see the object. Okay, did I get this right? Okay, I'm going to come back to reflection later. But right now, it was a very haphazard kind of discovery that on that verse that we testified that there's God, so God is just. And then how is he absolute? I mean, he is absolute, but a scientific method cannot measure it, right? So since he's absolute and scientific methods can only find certain things, proof of certain things. They've given us even, like electricity to be used. And that's very much appreciated. And then I was thinking, my God, we are so slow, spiritual process. And so, I mean, I started to think whether what I was saying was substantial, worthwhile, or true, because science has been very advanced, given us so many things without whom we would not have a very easy life. So, do you think, I came back to, do you think that I'm a fool? Because saying believe in God, have faith in God. And in this way, even though reasoning, how far can reasoning take me? Yet, how useful is this, realizing God? And then we have so many outside things making life easy for us. But then we have, some people have psychological problems, and I've seen that psychiatrists, psychiatric medication does not really give a holistic, they call it now holistic healing. There could be, like we say, a soul crisis, the crisis of the mind, which then I realized this long ago, that psychology can only scrape the surface, but cannot go deep into treating me or healing me. And so that's what I've mentioned and I've thought of, and so I've come to this, that although there are many materialistic practical uses of science, we have medicine, medical area, surgery, operations, many things, they've given us good things, but still something is missing. And for instance, like mentally ill, I've seen they were given shocks before if they became aggressive. And so I believe that God could heal the mentally sick, because psychiatrists cannot. They can only treat the symptoms, I'm told, and they cannot go deep into healing the true source of mental illness. And now they also don't have the proper evidence about schizophrenia. They cannot go into the brain, scan the brain, and see where dopamine and all this is done through research. This is how they have come to know that whether in schizophrenia the dopamine lack or problem of dopamine or too much, like that. But there's no machine brain telling, scanning the brain and saying that yes, there's too much dopamine, or there's lack of dopamine in the brain. There's no machine like that in science, medical science. So I came to the fact that if God has, if it's true that this verse, God has made us testify to his existence, his being, then even children, all living beings, should know that he exists, how just he is, and how true he is. So that, like for instance, in science, I mean, a child cannot, we can't tell a child or explain a child the existence of this and electricity, and so that even to a teenager it will not be sufficient unless the teenager is a genius or something. And then many people don't even take science as their profession in life. So what what is the common factor that would be with every living person? We have to see that this common factor has to be there. Has to be there, because if it's the absolute truth, and if that verse is true, God has taken a covenant, made us testify to his reality, that he is the nurturer, the Rabb, then nourisher, nurturer, Lord, which covers everything, caretaker. I mean, which covers this caretaking, nurturer, nourishing. And so you can go into this and look at the definition of Rabb, Arabic word for Lord. Anyhow, so like this, I realized that everyone, every living being should know that God exists, without even just being aware, right? So first I said life. Now life can leave the body, and in life of a infant, an infant is alive, right? But there's something more, because life could mean motion, and life could mean movement. Every living thing has movement. There's motion in every sentient living being. So here, reflecting and all, thinking, contemplating, and how I got to pure awareness by myself when I was in Karachi contemplating Descartes. I think, therefore I am. So I thought, and then Muji Baba's much detailed and sanghas on YouTube, shared on YouTube, have helped me so much in this to bring this out. So this is very essential now, important, that awareness, about awareness. I'm much grateful to Muji Baba, but for my religion, that I have to find out, you see, whether my religion is true or not, and I've come to this verse now. So I'm sorry, I'm going to use Muji Baba's awareness meditation. So however, I can't say how grateful I am to Muji Baba. And when I then reflect on this verse of the Quran, then I think, how awareness doesn't have movement, and so life has movement. But awareness, what is awareness? It doesn't have movement. And So a child has awareness. I mean, and without awareness, there would not be life or any kind of movement, living being. Okay, so now personally, I was thinking we may, some of us may faint, lose, like we say, losing consciousness, but that's on the personal level. However, we are in awareness, and then we come back to consciousness. If we do, I mean, after fainting, if we come back to consciousness, so then Muji Baba says this is also witnessed, and it is witnessed in awareness. I mean, sorry, I'm not a professional in this. I have to do more reflection and contemplation. So please, for this, you can go back to Muji Baba's invitation to this meditation. So then I come to what is common for all. Everyone has it. Every living being has it. We come back to that. And personally, we may lose consciousness, but that is also part of being in the awareness, and the mind developing. When you can become a scientist, so the mind is developing. So this development, it doesn't have the development, what is real, truly universal truth, the absolute universal truth. This is how I came to. I'm sorry, I haven't gone step by step. I think I've jumped a bit from somewhere, so an evolution also, like Darwin's theory, the theory of evolution. The fossils give evidence, but I haven't gone through that theory. So there has to be a step-by-step proof, connection, that what were we before, when God took this covenant from us, testifying to the true reality of us, to the Creator who created us. So in what form we were, or were we formless? But he says from the loins of Adam. So could there be the proof that if we were light, so this energy, and then through energy there was an evolution, and we came into this form. So there can be no preferences. Taking this verse, it should be available to everyone, and I'm going to continue later. In another video, I will continue. Thank you so much. Because I'm running out of time here, 30 minutes is all I have to make this video.